Hey, love, before we jump in, I want to make you aware that Tools of Transformation is open as of now, and it holds all the exercises that I wish I would have known when starting on my spiritual journey, even before, because would I have known how much it helps my daily life to reset my nervous system, to release stress, release anger, to energetically make conversations go my way before I even have them, or what mirror work can do, my life would have been shifted. So I really invite you to check that out. Link is in the captions below. And now we jump straight into the episode to have another wonderful conversation about how to get to this point of empowerment, how other women did it, what tools they used, what perspective shifts they found for themselves, how they navigated their life to come back to their empowerment. Enjoy the episode. Hey, loves, welcome to another episode of About Her. I have the wonderful Delicia with me today, and I'm really excited to have you here. Thank you for coming, Delicia. So glad you're here. I would love, before we dive deep in, I would love for you to tell us a bit about you, how you came to your retreat planning, because we've talked about that earlier. And yeah, just whatever comes to mind of what you want to share.
Oh yeah. So my name's Delicia Ivans. I'm the founder of Retreat Planning Experts. So I help coaches, who usually have like a mid-ticket or a high-ticket offer. They've already got kind of their audience built, but they're looking for the next step. They really want to do the in-person, the deep work. They're doing groups, they're doing some one-on-one, but what they really want to do is take those people and pull them into the next level with like having some really intimate experiences. So I help them plan and do all the logistics planning and payment coordination and all kind of the back end stuff so that they can focus on what they do best, which is holding space and bringing around that transformation that they're here on this earth to bring around. And I really enjoy it. I love it. It's very new for me. I started it in the last couple of years. My background was kind of in marketing and personal development and helping coaches before that. So I've been in the coaching realm for the last, I don't know, 10, 12 years. And I really enjoy working with coaches and it's a lot of fun. And thank you so much for having me.
You're so welcome. I had a lot of fun when we initially met to see the excitement you have for like supporting coaches. And I think what you touched upon is like something that is so necessary, because most of the healers and coaches I meet, including myself, are like really good at what they do. But then again, like these logical planning steps, it's too much, or we're not really good at it because we're like focused on something else. And so many of us try to do that alone, and then it's kind of not working, which gives a lot of frustration. So maybe that's even why you've birthed this current business. So like, because you've seen that gap, maybe.
Yeah, that's a really, I think, at least in my experience, so like people tend to lean like you've kind of got the very like logical, analytical minded people, and then you've got like the more intuitive, emotional, and then you've got some people, some very, like, in my opinion, very rare, hard to find people who kind of walk that line and balance both halves pretty equally. I tend to fall on this side more. So with the logical side, like for me, it is harder for me to get into the heart practices. So when I do yoga, when I do journaling, when I do these things, like it takes me longer to kind of dive in my meditation to settle into it because there's so much like clockwork, like computer tabs, like processes, like task bars that are open up here, that it takes me a while to really be able to shut all those files down and to kind of sink into my heart space. And so what I found is I appreciate those spaces so much. Like there's so much beauty in someone who can create that space and hold that space for a lot of different personalities, including, people like me who um, tend to kind of lean more one direction and to be able to take those people who are like really struggling to connect in that heart space and use intuitive practices and some, body work and things like that to kind of pull them back in and help them realign is very, very important. And at least from what I'm seeing, I think what we're all seeing right now is that's really important work all the time. But I think it's even more crucial for, the time we live in now. Things are just, they're kind of all over the place in the news and everywhere else, and nobody really knows where to look or what to do. And so, at least from what I've been seeing, I've been hearing, the biggest thing we can do right now is really take care of ourselves and make sure that we're centered and make sure that our energy's aligned and that we're healing ourselves so that we can like be that anchor for the people in our lives and in our community. And so I love that I get to support that in the way that I can, which is helping with all the logistics and stuff on this side that other people may find challenging, and then they help on their side. So it works very well.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think it's so lovely how you describe that because you're doing the exact thing that you just described. Other people help you to get in the heart space easier is you help them to get into this logical space easier. And I think it's you're right. Like most people I know are like really the way I've grown up, like beautiful healers, amazing coaches all over, like my family and friends, totally not making any money, having no idea how to communicate what they're doing. And for me, that was always like really sad because I thought like they must have thousands of people who
Right.
want their help, thousands of like appointments, meetings, clients,
Yep.
whatever. And then it's like, oh, they're barely getting by. And as a kid, I didn't understand that. Now I do. And I think it's exactly the thing that, or the gap that you're filling, this like bridge from the logical to the heart and back. There needs to be like a connection because inside it might be very clear how we can help others, but then like how to communicate that out, how to plan that, how to like hold the space, hold it's kind of like the grid work is what comes to my mind that you build so that in there this healing can take place in a safe and in a relaxed way where we like really only focus on the healing part, on the supporting part, and not needing to care, for is the food planned or is has everyone had their payments and whatever. So I think it's really like this pre-work is so important so that in that moment the letting go and the release can happen and the holding.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I like what you said about like making sure that having the pre-work done so that you can have the release that you need. And I think too, I know so many people like you are just like these beautiful people who just have the ability to hold space. It like before I even knew what the term held space, like hold space meant, and I would hear this term kind of thrown around. So like my background is business and marketing, and I would hear these, like, oh, hold space and open heart in the back of your heart, and like all these to me, like coming from like business by like these are very woo-woo terms. Like, what are we talking about here? There's a different language. The language of the heart is different than the language. It's like literally like two different languages. It's like Spanish and English or French and German. Like you have to, and so to try to be able to take and to bridge that. So for a coach to be able to say, like, I'm like, okay, what do you do? And they're like, oh, well, I do this, and a lot of the language is going to be very similar. Like transformative, da 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 da, this process by this thing. It's like, okay, so now I got to figure out how to take that language and like, how do we coach that into something where we can put it on a sales page or we can put it on a thing where other people understand it. And yeah, maybe the people you're working with are just the people who understand heart language, or maybe you're trying to help other people who like they need it. They just don't know how to say they need it, or they don't know how to communicate it in their words. Like from here, they don't know how to communicate it here into language that you understand. And so how do we meet that? How do we repair that? Because um, for the healing that we all need to figure out how to have a common kind of language and to build that bridge there. So yeah, just helping facilitate that in any way that I can, so that I can help with that, or just the stuff that nobody else wants to deal with, all the spreadsheets and the Google sheets and the back and forth emails, and coordinating and making sure that our meeting space is perfect, that we have the venue that we want and the candles and whatever ambiance we want, like we have that together, so that when you show up and you're ready to create that space and release for people, that just kind of flows naturally. um, and that's really like that's the most important thing for me, is that people achieve the release of the transformation that they are coming for. That's very key.
Yes, and I'm just reminded of an experience my husband had like a few times over the last years when he's done retreat with one of his colleagues where there was no good organization and no good structure, and he had to like kind of, because he's logically like
Mhm.
very involved in the logical space, he then did these tasks that weren't initially his to do because he was there as a healer, and it is tearing him apart. So he came home always like totally depleted of energy, because holding those two, that was just, he wasn't prepared for that. And also like it was, the juggling was too much. So I thought like, well, of course we do that for our clients in that moment, but also like the people who are facilitating, who are healing, who are supporting, who are holding the space, kind of need to find their relaxation and their support in that too. And I think that's exactly what you provide when you like prepare the space and when you care for all these things, so that there is like the mind is clear. And the I smiled very much when you said like holding space is like such a like insider term. And
Yeah.
I wonder if you have that too, because like many people I know who have not been in contact so much with the healing work that we all need, totally agree. And
Yeah.
maybe if, or if you have never heard these terms, or if you have never like encountered that kind of inner work, many people I know are repelled by this kind of language. And often it's
Right.
like, if I talk about like holding space to a lot of people from my former work companies, then they would be like, oh, you know. But I know that they would need the actual exercises, the actual transformation very much. But it's just like, what is this? I can't relate. And I think that's something really important, because in our little bubble, everything's like really clear and you know what it's meant. But if you're outside of that bubble, it's like, really, what the hell are they doing there? I don't need that. And then they skip it, even though it would be the most amazing thing.
It would be. And it's really, and I understand it because like I said, my background is kind of like business marketing analytics side. And so like I used to skip over like a lot of this stuff. And then so then I think we've mentioned this before, I talked about it before, but I was working for like this kind of Fortune 500 company, and I was doing a lot of work for them. It was like 18 months. It was one of those fast-paced companies where you like they have a really quick what do you call it? Like people would hire on and then they would leave pretty quickly. Like, oh, like they turn around. It was like pretty quick. And so I was like, okay, all right, I'm gonna stay here and this is gonna be good for me. And I'm gonna learn all this stuff and it's gonna be fun and I'm gonna help and it's gonna be great. Anyway, so I got in there and I was working, sometimes 50 hours or 60 hours a week, and still trying to mom and like two kids and wife and dog mom and potty train this puppy and
Oh,
like lo and behold, I had broke down. It was inevitable to anybody who was on the outside looking in. Like anybody who was on the outside looking in, like I just kept stacking, and they were like, "How much longer is it going to take before this girl breaks?" And and it happened, and I was like, "Okay." And then I took a year, and I like homeschooled the girls, and I had to replenish my wall. I had to like learn how to. I had to build the walls back up from like all the boundaries I'd let slip. I had to learn how to do all the work, and I started with the Artist's Way at Work by Julia Cameron, which was a beautiful book. Um, and it helped me, but it introduced me to a lot of, like, she did a really great job, I think, at integrating some practices that are very personal development. They're healing, they're boundaries, they're learning how to do that kind of even like beginning shadow work, but she doesn't call it that. She calls it an artist timeout. She calls it a different thing. So because she had these other words for it, it wasn't scary, and I could just step into that and I can embrace it. And then I talk to other people later and they're like, "Oh, yeah, I already do that. I've been doing that for a long time," or "We call it this." And I'm like, "Oh, this whole time you guys had this secret and you weren't telling me." "Oh, you were telling me. I just didn't understand because I didn't understand how to listen with this and not with this, and I didn't." And holding space, like, you know what it means when you know what it means, but it's an experience that you have to have first. If someone were to say holding space for you, like logically, it's like, okay, what does that mean? What does that look like? How do you even describe that? Like, how do you describe that in words? And so you have to have the experience. Like, and then when you have the experience, then your heart understands that phrase. And so, yeah, it's trying to do that is, I think, very important, and very important for women who are out there who are listening, to make sure that you do take time for yourself and you do take space. It's very important.
yes. And I love the way you described what that book did to you, because I think it's like, it's an amazing book. It's coming all from all over the world. It's like this book is always kind of mentioned.
Mhm.
It has definitely has its place, especially like, I don't think not only of the exercises, but like you said, the way it's written, the language that is used kind of helps people access these concepts but they're not repelled by the wording because they don't know what it means. So it kind of like helps reach a different type of character or a different person in a different like moment of their life. And until you have felt how it is to be held or to be like supported on a spiritual level, you have no idea before, like, how could you? Then like I think it's like really we need to bridge that gap again from these different ways of living, because it's really truly a different way to live from the heart or to live from the logic. But if you like kind of have experienced both, and you can then find your dance to when do what, that is, I think, like really the art in there, when we can kind of intertwine them to whenever it's necessary, like switch or lean into one bit more of this side or a bit more of this side. But like you need consciousness, you need the awareness that there is another way of doing stuff logical, and there's also another way of just, you know, giving everything out with no structure and no boundaries at all. So the balance is very, very much needed.
Yeah, I think like one thing that I've been learning about, like just for me and other people, other people have known about this for a while, and it's still like I understand the concept now, but I still like have a hard time staying in it, is flow, like flow state. Um, which the Surrender Experiment, I think was Michael Singer maybe, really good book or audiobook, but like just like flow state. Like for someone who is a logical based person, like who's used to checklists, like you're that very type A, like I have a checklist, I have a shopping list, I have a to-do list, I have a whatever. And then you tell me that I have to step out of that because my flow state's over here. Like, oh, wait, hold on. Like, I can't check all these boxes off because really what I need to do is my body needs me to go on a walk right now. My body needs me to go eat a banana right now or to go eat a salad, or my brain needs me to go meditate for 10 minutes. Mm-mm. No, like not gonna do the battle I have every day still, where I'm like, okay, brain, no, we're gonna go honor our body today. Like it's like we're gonna have to take some time. But it's crazy. And I still, battle that out. Just to even try to stay in like a flow state where I remain positive and I can lean, like learning to listen to my intuition. So I had a really beautiful experience with a friend recently, my friend Christy. And if you go look at my website page, you'll have to look at the about page because she's the most beautiful person, Christy Garland. And I went to go visit her, and I was trying to talk with her about. She still doesn't have her bio up, and I was like, Christy, I need you to write a bio for my website. Like you're on there, and you still haven't gotten it. She's like, it's okay. Like I'll get to it. And but we got there, and we spent like all of 10 minutes, catching up, and like, how's your kid? How's your kid? And like, how are you? And then like after 15 minutes, she's like, you need a bath. And I was like, well, I had a shower this morning, Christy. And she's like, no, you need a bath. And I was like, kind of do I stink? Like, what in the world? And she's like, mm-mm. She's like, you just need to not talk and you need to sit in a tub. She's like, baths are more, for more than just washing. And I was like, okay. She's like, if I run you a bath, will you do it? And I was like, yeah, okay. I'll just randomly go to my friend's house and like get naked and hop in her tub. Sure. Why not? Sounds like a great, I'm 40. I just say
Right.
yes to everything now. Like at this point in my life, I'm like, if it's not going to kill me, I mean, I guess let's go. Like, whatever. Like I'm halfway done and I made it this long by all the stupid stuff I messed up in my 20s and we're still here. So thank God. So she runs me a bath. And I just like stayed in there and she put on like incense and like this beautiful music and had like this amethyst in there, and it was just so lovely. And I just like soaked for 20 minutes and I didn't think and I didn't do anything.
Hmm.
I just like floated in the Epsom salt water and the magnesium, and I let all those minerals soak into my skin. And then I got out and I looked around the bathroom and I was like, Christy stole my clothes. My clothes were nowhere to be found. Like, okay, all right, what do I do with this? So I kind of come out my towel. I'm like, Christy, where are my clothes? And she just kind of laughs and she's like, go choose a robe. And like I go to her room and there's two robes laid out. So I choose a robe and I kind of get dressed in that. And then I come in and she's like, okay, so now we're gonna do this meditation, and I'm gonna play this instrument and you're gonna play this singing bowl. And we're gonna do this like chakra tuning meditation that I found. And I was like, yeah, okay. let's do that. Like, I'm just following. At this point, I'm just like, you lead, I'm just gonna follow. Cause for me, like these intuitive things that like she knows how to do, she just for these are play for her. Like she's not thinking about them. She's just feeling her way with her heart.
Mhm.
And she's inviting me into the process. And I'm like, okay, like let's do that. We do that. It was beautiful. And then at the end, she's like, now wasn't that better than just talking for an hour? And I was like, my heart was just so full. I was like tearing up. I was like, Christy, that was so beautiful. Like, thank you for doing. Like, I had in my head, I was going to come in, we were going to do this business thing, and we were going to X, Y, Z, and I was going to talk about this, and I'm going to do these things. And you just shifted the whole paradigm, and it blew me away. And I love you for that, and thank you so much. And like, that's holding space, like where, like, and that's such a thing to like come in and be like, oh, you can turn everything off up here and just like relax into it. And that's something that I think, especially even in American culture, like we don't have we're a Enneagram 3. We're like if you were to look at our country code, like we're the workhorse. Like it's all about production. It's all about how much you can make and what you can get done in capitalist society. Um and that programming is there,
Mhm.
like it's in there. And so it takes so much to shift and turn that off, so much. And so that's why like these practices and these things and these people who create these spaces to teach people something that we knew years and years ago, something our grandparents, our great grandparents, our great grandmothers, like we have in ourselves, like from a tribal point, like we have it in our DNA and our ancestry, like it's there. Our soul knows about it, but we don't know how to do it anymore. We lost it. And nobody has taught us how to do these things anymore. And so there are these special people who have this intuitive ability where they can tap in and they're like, oh, this is how you do it. You don't overthink it. You just do it. And for the rest of us, we're just like, wow, like, you just made magic happen. How did you do that? Like, it's crazy. And so
Oh,
it's really nice to be able to do that for people and to like to participate in a way that I can right now. And so I use my gift in the way that I can. And so I like doing it.
thank you for that story. This is like just so beautiful. Oh my God. How amazing that you
Fun.
are as a
Yeah, you'll
friend.
have to meet
That
Christy.
that you followed her because you could have easily like used your logic and said like, I came here for that and we're just doing that. And um I think like when you are agreed being brought up in a society that I think we all are, that is like really following the logical, linear steps and
Uh-huh.
used to having things done in a certain way by a certain time and everything's kind of predictable and we try to not like step out of the plan, then doing the intuitive thing and like turning things all over just because the sun is out and I feel like, I don't know, taking a bath or go hiking, and like cancel all my meetings, that feels really scary. So I think it takes a lot of courage to step out of the logic and be led by our bodies who like know so much more than the logic does, but we kind of like we're so trained to live up here that it's often so hard to step out of that. And while you talked, I remembered like how I was working with my father together. We had a shop for about 10 years and he's more like your friend. He was like, oh, the sun's shining, come out, we're gonna sit in the sun. And you're like, no, I can't. There are all these things I have to do. I know that these clients are coming. I have to plan this out. I wasn't able to relax. So the same as you, like it took me so long and there was so much resistance to even start with the tiniest moment letting go during the day. And still it's like I can switch off this or switch on this, but bringing them together in a way that is, both, that's really hard often. So
Really hard.
really hard. And it's like it feels my body is in fear in that moment. There's a real fight going on. So I love the way you described that because I think many people have that, but we often are not even conscious of that. It's just the way we work. And it's just like we have been conditioned to like work so much, this like work, work, work hustle culture that there's not even a reflection of is this actually feeling good to me? Am I actually like depleting my body to the maximum? Is there
Mhm.
any other way, there are not even, these questions are not even asked. So we need to have the awareness, and we need to like collectively care for ourselves and heal from this kind of disease overworking, which has been so glorified and not making any sense from the heart space if you look. But still, it's like there is this duality so big.
Yeah, and I think normalizing like a lot of the heart space speech is going to help too. So like the work Julie Cameron did, which I mean she did forever ago, but like by taking the exercises and putting them into a different format, a different language, so they would work with a different demographic, a different audience, so they could be open to like the beginning of the seeds of that language. Like that kind of stuff is really important. And the more you do it, like the more you open yourself up to experiences, the more other things come and just kind of find their way into your path, like certain books, certain people, like a new mentor, opportunities, like those things happen. Um, because it is my firm belief that the universe is good and that it's built of love and that it's made of love and that the whole reason we exist is so that we can love each other and love the space. Um, and somewhere along the way we lost the plot of the story and we got confused and we went off over here. But there are these really wonderful people who are trying to bring us back, but it's a different language and we don't understand. So learning how to transmit that in a different way, I think is really important. And I think too, something else you said about like trying to get the two to work together made me think of like it feels like sometimes like trying to go on a hike, but like you put your left shoe on your right foot and your right shoe on your left foot, like you're moving, you're going a direction, but it feels very awkward and it feels like uncomfortable and strange. And you're not really sure if you're going to trip because your feet aren't in the right position. But then you think about it and truly like these exercises, these like meditation, like sinking into ourselves, like learning how to do this stuff. This is what we were made to do. So if we really think about it, we've just been wearing the wrong shoes on the wrong feet our entire lives. And now some group, some people, some yogi instructor, some different person, some coach has come through and they say, no, put the shoe on this foot, put the shoe on this foot, now try it. But we're so used to being backwards and cross that we don't understand. It feels so awkward to try to go forward with the right shoes on the right feet. It doesn't make sense to us. So it's definitely a thing, I think, for me. My coach gets on to me all the time. She's like, "Did you meditate today?" I'm like, Maybe, maybe. Did you journal today?" I'm like, I did yesterday." So the consistency, I think, is very. I think that's a difficult thing for me when it comes to these practices, like consistent in everything else. But these practices, they make me feel uncomfortable because they make me look at all the parts of myself and try to learn to love all the parts of myself, like even the shadow self, like even the part that I've regulated, I've dysregulated. And I'm like, no, society told me that part's not good. We're not going to do that. We're just going to push that one away and we're going to do all this other stuff that people applaud us for and they praise us for. So we're not going to, we're going to dysregulate. We're going to separate. We're going to take a whole person and we're going to disintegrate them into 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 halves or, multiple pieces. And they're going to wonder why that person breaks down over time because they're not even a whole person. And so, this is the doing the work of bringing those in, of integrating and healing and braiding the pieces of yourself back together so that you can braid the branches back together so you can have a whole person, a whole trunk that can grow beautiful things. Um, and I think it's really important. So I think some of my favorite practices, and I'd love to hear yours. I think some of my favorite practices for me, because my brain is so active, and I think my therapist would agree. My therapist from a couple of years ago, she would agree that I have ADHD, which is a superpower, but also can make you just very hyper up here. Um, so I think yoga is very important for me. Yoga forces me to slow down. And I learned recently, which I think is really important from a body mind connection, balance and coordination activities that focus the brain on balancing, force the brain to slow down. So what happens is that your supercomputer is running 500 miles an hour and it starts running at 300 and 200 because it has to focus on this, like holding this pose for a very long time. And you do that multiple times a week. You do that 3 times a week, and it gets used to that speed and you can slow down. When this speed is slower, it's easier to hear this. When this is not so loud and so fast, like it's easier to sit in this. So for me, yoga is definitely really important. And journaling. I do a lot of journaling. And I think my new favorite one too is the monk manual, which it was a gift and I really love this one, but it's the monk manual and it's super great. So it's got a little thing in there. It's got a year planner, weekly and daily, but it starts off with like, what are you grateful for? And I think that's a really good, like just general, people talk about like, what are your practices? I think very basic, like back to basics, like just gratitude, like very basic is so good for just anybody to get into. Like just three things you're grateful for first thing in the morning. Sets the whole tone for the day, you know? So like what are your favorite things for like your practices?
That's really hard, actually. I totally agree with you on the gratitude. I think if we would all only do this, then things would be like really different. So I think that that's like really powerful. And if you're up here and not in the heart space, you think like, what should it do? Like, and skip over it, which I totally get. But again, it's I think it would be something that should be prescribed to everyone. But for me, I think vocal journaling is the most profound, important thing that I'm really sticking to because it kind of blends.
What is vocal journaling? Can you tell me?
Vocal
I'm
journaling.
interested now.
I think you'd like it. Um,
Okay.
I journaled for a long time, but for me, like me
Yeah.
too, no idea if I really have ADHD or not, but what I really have is a hyperactive brain and
Yeah.
a lot of things that I'm passionate about. So always like this, like I don't have time for it is a story that I always told myself, and I'm still trying to like unsubscribe from that. Um, and so I found vocal journaling through a girl. I don't know her name right now, but it really blew my mind because what it essentially is, it's I'm taking my phone, recording a voice note of everything that's on my mind. So stream of consciousness journaling or any specific question, but I don't have to write it out. So it's faster, which is kind of like very satisfying to my full brain.
Uh-huh.
And what
Uh-huh.
I super powerful with this is that I have the feeling of talking to a friend. I
Mhm.
totally have no filter on it. It doesn't feel awkward because of course I could talk without the phone, but then again it's there is a conditioning that kind of like makes me feel awkward when I just talk to myself while on the walk or whatever. So this kind of gives me the ability to like re-listen to it. Sometimes I do. I get a lot of content for my socials out of that because I think like, oh my god,
Yeah.
that was really valuable. I need to like, I need to like save that. And also the feedback loop of hearing my own voice that you have like when you talk to someone else, this like feeling of you speak out something and you hear something back from another one. It kind of like hits your brain differently without any scientific, explanation to it, but it's just like a different experience that you can create for yourself. So essentially, it's me speaking to myself while recording it on the phone, which sounds a bit crazy. And I cannot
No.
tell you how helpful this is to me. And sometimes it's 5 minutes, sometimes it's 15 or 20. Sometimes I delete it right afterwards because I think I don't want to ever listen to it again. And it was just for me to get it out. And then
Yeah.
sometimes I re listen and I make content out of it, or I don't know, I want to kind of save that insight that came
That's
from it.
really
And
interesting.
it's, yeah, so for me, it's totally freeing afterwards. I feel like they're on top of the world. And
Yeah.
only for that reason, it's like gold. So that's like the most, if you try, please let me know how you like it.
Oh, yeah, I do. I do not regularly. I did regularly for like a year, and now I do it like as needed, as interim as needed. But I do morning pages, which is the Julia Cameron, the artist way at work. It's like the 3 pages handwritten. Like I have, there's like 6 of these like composition notebooks. Like they're all over my house because they were on
Oh,
sale, and I just got a stack of them. But they're like I just do them. Um, I like it because it forces me to slow down. So it does force me because I'm writing. It forces me to think. Like I do stream of consciousness though, like whatever's on my brain, I just blah 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 blah. Um, and then after I get that out, I can do my gratitude and all my whatever, or vice versa. It doesn't matter. I don't have a thing. It's just whatever I feel like that day. But what I like about what you're saying, and I think you can do it 2 different ways. Like I think either way works. And I'm just curious to try to see. But like uh my friend, my coach, you know, we were talking about like channeling, like just, you know, like getting your information like direct from the source or from the universe or like whatever that thing is that you need to know, or like maybe you have a message for someone else. And like sometimes you're talking and you say something that's like incredibly wise, and that person's just like, oh, and you're like, that just came out of my mouth. I promise you, I never had that thought before in my life. I am not that smart. Like, how did that just, you
Yeah.
know? But I'm wondering, because you're saying you use it for content, like, are you like using that as like a form of channeling? Like, you're allowing your brain to just kind of relax into it. And so it's coming out. It's just coming out. It's like you're birthing these beautiful ideas. Then you go back and you listen to me like, whoa, that's
Yes,
amazing.
yes. So I didn't start it because of that.
Yeah.
But then it kind of like these insights, like you said, I thought like, oh my God, that was like really valuable. And it was just like, brain dumping stuff out. So I didn't
Yeah.
totally intend to do anything with that except for getting it out of my system. But then there were a lot of like insights where I thought like, oh, I need to kind of write that down. I need to like I have notes on my folder out of these insights. And they happen to like be super helpful for my clients. So what I started is exactly what you just said is I
Mhm.
started to not channel in meditations only.
Yeah.
Yes, of course I do, like, go to higher guidance and ask for help, but I started doing that in this half conscious state through the vocal journaling, where I have a specific question and I just ask it to God, source, the universe, however you want to call
Yeah.
it. And
Right.
then the answer comes through my mouth to my brain, which is kind of interesting. So you can ask actually anything. I sometimes ask, like, I have a mentor who says, like, he does this for everything, for like, which person should I hire next or whatever. So you can actually use it for the most practical stuff in the world. And I've tried it and
Try it.
it really worked. It's really amazing because like the answers come
Awesome.
in different forms depending on how you work. It could be like,
Yeah.
um, I don't know, go to Google and search for this or that term, or look at that book, or look at that, whatever, doesn't matter. But like you can use it for the practical stuff too. And I think that is kind of tying together what we talked about before, the integration of like the logical and
Yeah.
the more woo-woo heart space stuff, because
Right.
we are not supposed, I think, to only meditate on like how beautiful life is. Yeah, that's a part of it, but you can also kind of do the really practical stuff. And for that I love,
Hmm.
so I do it for content creation, I do it for client work when there's some issue coming where I really need guidance that is not only me, but that is like really directly from source. It's an
Yeah.
amazing feeling.
I like that a lot. Yeah. Because I think right now, like, yeah, I'll do journaling. I'll do journaling and I'll try that. I'll try like seeing if I can, because, you know, it's, it seems so woo woo to say, but like the answer is within you. Like, I feel like Yoda, but like, it's
But it
like,
is.
slow down, child, look within. Like, I just feel like there's a different, and there's like, and it's crazy because like when I journal and like when I'm in that state where I'm like, okay, me, like this is what we need to figure out. It's almost like a different personality kicks in, and it's like an older, wiser, sagey personality who's like, this is what you do, this is what
Cool.
you do, and this like, and I just it makes me laugh. But I wonder, because like I also like I'll pull cards sometimes. Like I have tarot cards, whatever you call them, or Rumi cards, or like and then I had a friend recently do I'd never tried it before, but a pendulum. And that
Mm,
was really interesting. And so like as I'm learning about all these different methods, I'm like, yeah, let's try that one. Like, yeah, what does that do? Like it's curious, it's fun, it's play, it's a sandbox now. But like what you were saying, like even from um like a Christian perspective, like Paul talked about it. I don't even remember what book it was, but I do remember he said, I think it was Paul. It's been a really long time since I've been in that world. But he said, you know, pray without ceasing. And
mhm.
so the idea, like in meditation and things like that, they're all just forms of prayer. Like it's just the idea that your brain is constantly like on a prayer or a meditation wavelength. So whatever you're doing, whether you're washing dishes, whether you're, you
Mhm.
know, taking a walk, whether you're whatever, like you are tapped into the universe, you're tapped into that higher consciousness, you're tapped into the source of love. So that if you're tapped into it, it can flow through you and you can be a conduit for it and it can flow out of you and you can react more calm and more better than I do at traffic jams, which is why I need to meditate more.
It's interesting, isn't it, that like we have
Mhm.
access to all of this, and like you said, I love very much how you describe it. It's almost like another version of you steps in, and you kind of have that system that you kind of wasn't able to access before, so it's in there somewhere, or it's accessible somewhere somehow. Um, but still, even though knowing, sometimes we run around just like operating on logic, like
Mhm.
this chicken just trying to do everything at once without accessing the power that we could access. And there are so many tools that we can use, but whatever it is for each of us, I think it doesn't even matter the tool. It's more like coming to this awareness that there is another way of doing stuff. And like you said, doing the dishes or in traffic jam. Have you read Thich Nhat Hanh? Because he's talking exactly about a lot. He has like I don't know how many thousand books, and it's actually
Yes.
on exactly that.
I have one of his, I don't know. It's like a collection of like poems, or I don't know what they're called. I don't know the right word, but I have a collection and I haven't, honestly, I haven't picked them up and read them in a while. So I've got like a couple of books on my reading list right now. Like I'm reading Rise Sister Rise by Rebecca Campbell. And then I've picked up and I've got two of them in my backpack to take with me. But one was like, is it Viktor Frankl, A Man's Search for Meaning? And then there's another one. Yeah, I know it's heavy. And then there's another one. Oh my gosh. I hate it. I just forgot his name. It's it's man,
It's
I just
just
forgot it. No,
it
is
will
it
it
Deep?
will come back in a second.
Well, I think it's like Deepak Chopra, but
Oh
or
yeah.
no, 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 no. It's the Toll Earth something. Anyway, it's funny. I laugh because like one of the people I like to listen to their podcast is Rob Bell, and his son refers to like these very like spiritual guru people who write these big beautiful like Rumi, like all these big beautiful books where you really have to sit down. And what he says it doesn't make sense to our heads, it only makes sense in our hearts if we're willing to sit with it and really listen to it. He said in our head it sounds like word salad. And so when I think about these authors, like it's that like what comes in my head is like it's that word salad book. Like if I can look at the title, it's the one that's a salad of words that you don't like throw
Love
some cherries on top and a little bit of carrots and yeah, it's good. Word salad. Like everybody understands that.
But then again, it's like if you read it, it feels just so good. So maybe it's again this overcoming of initial resistance of thinking like, what
Right.
is this? And then if you're
Yeah.
in and you're like blown away so much
Mhm.
because of the wisdom that is it Eckhart Tolle?
Yes, thank you. Yes.
You're
No,
welcome.
it's one of his books. It's one of his books, and I don't remember which one. But I think it's like has to do with the premise of like what are you here for? Or
Yeah.
if I remember correctly. So anyway, it's like I'm going to
Mhm.
be on a flight for 14 hours or 15 hours tomorrow. I'm like, what am I going to do? I'm going to read
You
and watch.
have good books with you.
I will. And then to break it up, all my spiritual enlightenment, I'm going to watch some probably cheesy, raunchy romantic comedies. And then that's how we're going to get through, our flight.
But there's
Because we're real people, we live here and here. And so therefore we have to balance.
agreed. And I think there is nothing wrong with like enjoying the earthly stuff and the more, enjoying the romantic comedy next to the total spiritual book. I think we should definitely stop to like trying to say like this or that, but like really embracing that we're both because that's essentially what we're here for. We're the vessel and we're also like the one who like draws the light in. So why shouldn't we enjoy both of these beautiful experiences that we can and merge them together so that we create this like unique filter through which we see life, like you said, the logic and the heart. If you like merge that and have the pleasure of knowing both, how
Mhm.
beautiful is life if you have access to that kind of wealth of knowledge.
Yeah. And I think too, like, I'm working on like one of the things I've been working on the last couple of years, I've been intentional about is doing shadow work, which is for me, like just learning to accept all the parts of me,
Yeah.
and not repress anything. So not repress anything. So just to be real. And I think it's really fun. Like I recently got into listening to some spicy audiobooks, which my husband has just thought is absolutely hilarious. And I was like, oh, well, there's like a whole part of me that I just like have repressed for a very long time because I was the good girl, and good girls don't do that. We don't listen to that. We don't whatever. But if I'm really being intentional about healing all the parts of me and like learning that every part of me is acceptable and that it doesn't matter, then I need to be intentional about like, okay, I'm going to open myself up to a little bit of stuff over here. I'm going to see how that feels. I'm going to dip my toe in the water. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to try these tarot cards. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to try this pendulum thing. I'm going to go over here and take a naked bath at my friend's house. I'm going to go over here and start a new business. And I'm just going to like, we, we get this life. Like, and it's personal philosophy. I have no proof of this, but I think at some point, whatever state we exist in before this, we make a conscious choice to come down and to live here and to experience this place. And how much are we shortchanging ourselves if we're like, well, I'm only going to live this life and present myself this way. And like, you can only know this version of me. And this is how I present. So I don't want to be that. Like, I just want to be me. And I'm really good at a lot of things and I'm not great at a lot of things. And that's okay because we're all human and that's the beauty of it. So the things I'm good at, I enjoy. And the things that I'm not good at, I enjoy. And the things that other people are really good at, I love to celebrate. And if they want to bring me along for the ride, I'm happy to go because I'm just like here for the experience of like whatever this life is. And I'm super curious too. I've recently gotten into like learning more about human design.
Ha! I
And
wanted to bring that up. Amazing.
I'm so curious. I'm so curious what you are. Like I'm so like as we've been talking, like I wonder what she
Cool.
is.
Cool. Thank you so much. I love the synchronicities, and the universe always has good humor. So, human design is what popped into my mind over the last 45 minutes a few times because I think like this is really a beautiful way to bring the logic and the woo woo
Mhm.
together
Yeah.
because our logical brain is like really fed through this amazing amount of information and the like complicated explanations and types. But also it speaks so much to the heart and the soul, the way we are seen through human design. So I'm a 1-3 generator, sacral authority, um,
Okay.
which has helped me a lot to know. So I'm studying it right now deeply because me too, I'm passionate about 1,000 things, and I think I need life to do all of them. But I definitely saw all of them right now, and it's really it's so beautiful to see what is there, and some of it I can't connect, and to some of it I think like, oh, no connection at all because it's like buried deep, deep, deep under so much programming that I'm about to
Mhm.
like decondition from. But it's so soothing to know that the energies are there for me to like kind of reconnect to it and to find the to kind of find the key to unlock these gates to see like, oh, okay, I'm really good at beginnings, but I found that I'm also having the gate of like finishing stuff, which hasn't
Oh.
played out in my life that much. But now I know that I have it. I think like, okay, I can consciously choose to reconnect to it. And therefore, like human design is really fascinating, I think. What are you?
Oh God. Okay, hold on. I printed out this whole
Cool.
thing earlier.
Yeah,
It was like
you need to look
I
at it.
didn't do it this for this. Like it's a thing I've been looking into this week. But I remember manifesting generator. I remember that. So when you were talking about like you just went out and talked, like you would just talk, and I'm like, she can't be like not that you can't be, you could be, but like it's like I don't think she's a manifesting generator because at least what I know, like the little bit that I've studied, like my one book that I purchased and the few podcasts I've listened to, right? Like I'm an expert. But what I understand is that manifesting generators do very well with like response. So
Mhm.
like you ask me a question, I respond versus me just generating an answer out of myself. But like you want information from me, like ask me questions and I can be like, oh, here's an answer, like just magically blah, 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 it comes out. It's fantastic. But understanding that has made it more helpful for me, like in business and friendships and like relationships, everything to like, oh, it is not expected for me to generate answers. Like it doesn't make sense. So this is the Catalyst Manifesting Generator 1-3.
Oh, two. Amazing.
So this says, I don't know what 1-3 means in this, but it means something like it's like there's an incarnation cross, there's a whole bunch of stuff. Oh, the Catalyst Manifesting Generator. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then she's got a whole profile in this. It says experienced authority, but I don't know if that's like general human design knowledge, like or human design language, or if that's like her language that she's branded. Um, but it was cool. I get like it was this thing I found online, and it was this workshop, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll totally take a human design class online. Like, why would I not? It's here. It's in my feed. It must be for a reason. I'm gonna say yes.
You would, because the 1-3, which I have too, is like one of the lines is conscious and one of the lines is your subconscious, your like, you know.
Okay.
Um and the 1-3 is the one that is exploring and kind of like wanting to know everything, deep diving everything, going to trial and error and kind of experience everything for yourself so that you know it hands on, which is like what we do with multi-passionate,
Right.
everything.
Yeah.
So that's that.
Yeah.
And the 3 is the martyr, is the one I struggled with this a bit when I've heard it. First, like, no, but it's also the one who's like serving and overstepping their own boundaries to, like, serve someone else. There's maybe some people pleasing in it that we're not even conscious of. There's a lot of like being there for others on the expense of our own. And that in the shadow side can kind of like, well, go into burnout quite quickly because of not even
Yeah.
anything. And combined with this, like, I want to know all that stuff. I want to experience hand on all that stuff. It's like an interesting combination, but it also makes you a beautiful, like, amazing pool of knowledge that you have for yourself and that you can then like filter through other people through your own lens, because you really have experienced all of this yourself. So the amount of knowledge is like huge with the 1-3. And managing, my husband is 1-2. You're super fast at things and you want to kind of skip a lot of
Yes.
steps. So I don't know if that applies to you as well, but I see it in him, like,
Yes.
okay, he has again, like, I don't know, rearranged our living room for the 5th time while I wasn't even present. But that's like, he had an idea and then he did it, and it was like, what? So that's kind of the manager and energy of like doing things fast, not wanting to ask for permission, not wanting to inform, because it needs to be done fast. And what I found really helpful with all managers I've worked with is like finishing stuff, because it helps us. It's maybe the checkbox thing that you about before. The moment we can kind of like make this, and there's a big release.
Isn't that crazy? Like it literally, it feels like your cortisol levels just drop.
Yeah.
Like the minute you that check, like like I'm leaving for Greece tomorrow, and I had like 20 sticky lists like on my desk that needed to be. It was just like I was taking calls and I was doing all these things, and so I'd like write down a note, write down a note, write down a note, and then I took like 30 minutes today, and I was like, okay, this is insane. What did I actually like knock out this week? And I just started peeling them up, like all the ones that were done, and I just crumbled them up, threw them in the trash can, and the ones that I only had like 2 or 3 left, like out of these 15 or whatever I have. And I like wrote them down in my planner for next week. And then once it was in my planner, so I knew when I come back from Greece, it's there. Like I'll remember it. It's there. I was like, and I just threw it away. And I was like, oh, look at that. Just
how good it feels.
it's it's so good. And so like I don't think, ladies, if you are maybe have the same profile, like you try to explain to your husband like how incredibly hot it is for him to do the dishes for you, because then it's off your brain. Like it's off, like he does the dishes and then you don't have to think about it when it's time for bed, and you're like, oh, I don't have to think about the dishes. Thank you. You're amazing. Come here. Like I try to explain. I'm like, no, checklist. Like check things off my checklist for me. That's sexy. Like please do that for me, because I don't want to. If this is free, then I can do this. The brain is shut down, then I can open up heart space. Yeah, I think it's really interesting. And you know what I think was also interesting? So you're a generator. So you've got this 1-3 profile and a generator. Like, how do you think that's different than like a 1-3 from a manifesting generator perspective?
So
I think that so.
The most beautiful, maybe not beautiful, but like a really powerful explanation that I found is, like, if you think of a car, the manifestor is like the initial spark that starts the motor. It's like the one who is like, having all the ideas, is here to like overthrow everything and start to create something new. It's like the spark. And the generator is the motor itself. It's running, running, running. It's like what you said about the like this profile of like work, 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 work. And essentially the generator is never burnt out when it's in joy, because joy is the most important thing for the generator. So as long as you have a generator who does stuff that he or she likes, there will no burnout because there's access to limitless energy, especially if you're sacral like me. I can definitely prove that right for myself. When I do things that I don't like, I have no energy at all. And when I do things that I like, I have unlimited energy. And the managen is like the combination of both. So you have the manifestor spark energy, but also the manifestor rest cycle, which is like idea creation phase, totally no interest anymore, and then like wanting to release it and needing to rest, and then again idea creation, letting go, rest. And you also have the access to this full potential of energy. So depending on what you're working on right now or which state you're in your life, that can kind of shift, but you have access to both of these profiles. And I think like the car analogy is helping a lot. So the projector would be the kind of like the mirror to,
Yeah.
you know, to have this like overall view. And I think it's sometimes it's easier to see it in a visual form, so that we know what energy to access in a certain moment.
So I heard another word, and I'm flipping through my papers because I
Yeah.
was like looking for, I think I am sacral. I'd have to go back and look at my chart. But I heard another word for projector is like reflector. So
Mm,
like, mm,
different.
no, is that oh, two different ones.
Mhm.
Okay, wait. Okay, so yeah, let me clarify that. So there's generators, and then I think I saw like manifesting generators are like 70% of the population, and then like generators are a different percentage, and then there's
Mhm.
like projectors and reflectors, and is it reflectors that are the least amount? But they like help reflect back what you're doing.
Those are like reflectors are really, really rare, and they have a really special profile. So the generator wants to respond. To a generator, you can pose no or yes questions, and that's like the most perfect thing for them. My son is
Right.
one. If you say like, "Do you want spaghetti for dinner?" Yes. Do you want pizza? No. Perfect. Done. So that's the generator side. Um, and the projector, that's the one who is like they need a lunar phase, so they need a like really long time to feel into all the other energies, reflect all the energies back to them, and then come to their conclusion. Of course you don't do that for food choices, but for like more big decisions, so they need a lot of patience to like really come to aligned decisions, which is what human design is about, how you navigate. um
Okay.
and they are like really special in the way that because they need that much time and because they're so open to everything that happens,
Okay.
they are like really good at kind of predicting what happens collectively. They're like really good at collective overview. And often they're like really retreated because all the energies they get, it's kind of a depleting thing. So
Yeah.
there's
Can be overwhelming. It feel like
yeah,
overwhelming.
totally. And you need that patience. So it's not a bad profile or something. I don't think that there is
Yeah, yeah.
something like that, but it's like it comes with its certain subtle, energetic ways of working, and it's really, really special. So I've only met one so far, like in person, and it's just it's a special person. You kind of notice, even though you have no idea about human design, you'll notice how there is something different. And then there are the projectors, and they are often like really good at like mirroring back to you as an individual what is going on. So that's like so many of I bet most of your coaches will be projectors. That's like normally the coaches kind of go like normally the projectors go into the coaching space or into like serving others because they're really
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
good at mirroring back, at projecting back, but they're also like need a lot of time for themselves, be like in the hermit mode and kind of work through all the energies that they get from the
Yeah.
outside. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, I did a retreat kind of thing like last year. Ooh, 2 years ago,
Mhm.
where I went and saw Rob Bell. He's an author, podcaster. I like him a lot. Anyway, But yeah, the thing, like his offer was, he's like, hey, come up to this organic farm
Mhm.
in Pennsylvania, and we're all going to sit in this barn, and I'm going to take 20 of you, like who listen to this podcast, whatever. And we're going to just come up, you're going to pull up a chair, and you're just going to talk to me about whatever's going on. I'm just going to mirror back to you, like whatever the
Yeah.
thing is.
Yeah.
Like you're going to tell me what it is. Be like, cool, cool. How do you feel when I ask this question? Like, does your body lean in? Does it pull away? Like, how do you respond? And I didn't know. Like, I was like, how is he doing that? Like, that must be a freaking magic trick. Like, how is he? But it makes sense now. Like, maybe he's a projector. Like, maybe that's what it is.
Could very well be. Could very well be. Because
That's
that
really cool. I had never run into that skill set before, like the ability for like someone to just like, and 20 different
Mhm.
people, like
Yeah,
10 a day,
amazing.
over 2 days,
Wow.
to like go in and take 20 minutes to 30 minutes per person
Hmm.
and hold all that space, like hold all that emotional energy for everybody and be like, okay, now I'm gonna take that, I'm gonna spin it around and give it back to you. And I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
That's magic, isn't it? Like if someone is in their own energy, it's like
Yeah.
a magical process to see that happening. Because I think like that's is essentially human design is like about how the energy flows in our system with all these gates and centers and comes out of the throat chakra as a manifestation. And if you see someone who's aligned in that moment, it's like bliss. That's
It's so
just amazing.
it is so amazing. So then I think to do with human design, and I think this kind of goes with at least what I read, the four agreements too, which is like so there's like all these, like we've got this programming, and part of human design is like maybe learning how to deprogram yourself, which I think the four agreements talks about that too. Like we have this programming, and it's like how to like turn that around so that we're deprogramming ourselves like over our lifetime, which I think is really interesting too. So we've got like I guess for people who are kind of new to it, like there's these gates, right? And there are these like some channels that are open and some that are blocked, and you can work on different ones or try to like consciously work on some of them, or like can you, like you probably know more about this than I do, like how do you choose, do you choose to work on a gate, or does the universe just be like, hey, we're going to work on this gate now? Like, is this what?
No, no, you choose. So they are set from an astrology standpoint. So the gates and centers that you have defined, open and closed, are determined by the energies that have been present at your birth. So the same as astrology, because
Okay.
it draws a lot from the astrological information. So you don't choose which ones to, like, open or close. You can't, but you can work on them, of course, and like kind of learn to connect to the energies of those you have open or those you have closed, these channels, when you like have
Mm,
really a bridge between, or really a connection between two of the gates, two of the centers. You have like the full bridge. Then you have a
mhm,
flow of energy, maybe between the heart and the throat, for example. You have a constant flow of energy, so that means you could constantly speak your heart. But if you only have like
oh,
connection from the heart half to the throat, and you would like, like to speak from your heart, then you can consciously choose to work on that gate that you're kind of missing, or that you would love to, and but you can connect to the energy if you have it activated or not. And a beautiful thing that I found about human design, that it explains so beautifully, is how we as humans match each other, because there's this idea that if five people are in the room, it's called a penta, then all people would have all gates and centers activated, because we kind of draw on the energy of the others, and therefore everyone has access to everything. So in any interaction you have, like we two interacting
mhm,
right now, the centers that I don't have defined but you have defined, and vice versa, we are kind of sharing in that moment of like connecting, and therefore you
mhm,
have different access to different energies when with different people, and you could kind of do different things, or are open to different things when with different people. And they say like if you have about five of us humans together, then the chance that all of them are like kind of activated in some of them, and therefore everyone has access to all of them, is like, I think it's really beautiful if you think about it, because we kind of combine our energies and we build a whole. So it's a very romantic idea.
we should do this as a retreat. Let's go. I
Yes.
was like, this is positioning. I was like, I'm gonna get us a hut, and there's gonna be a fireplace,
Cool.
and
You know,
there's gonna be incense. We're gonna dance around this fire, and there's gonna be a lake, and there's gonna be like nude skinny dipping or something crazy. It's gonna be fun though.
You know
They're
what?
really excited. I had the whole thing built out in my head just now. It was beautiful.
You know, I know where it is because yesterday I had a podcast with which a lady I love deeply, and she had the spark. One of her friends just purchased a big house in Switzerland and she wants to do a retreat. And that girl I met yesterday, she said, like, do you want to come? And I said, like, well, Switzerland is really close to me, so yes, I want to come. And now I'm talking
Yes, of
to you, and
course.
I think like, well, maybe you want to come, you know? So
And
maybe we meet in Switzerland at a fireplace very soon.
you know, my foreign exchange student right now is from Switzerland. So there's just another time. Yeah,
That's
yeah, she is.
it's
Isn't
a,
that crazy? That's so crazy.
I'm going to find
No,
out where in Switzerland that is, and then we see how close
how
you're close.
close is it to Zurich? That's what I need. I'm gonna have to fly somewhere into Zurich, I think. But it can happen. It can happen. I'm ready to make some plans. I just
So,
like I think it makes so much sense because like I was thinking about it and I was like, oh, like sometimes when I'm working on stuff, I like to go sit at a coffee house in a restaurant and work. And it helps me focus in an area that I should be distracted. Like I can put headphones in. I don't want people to talk to me. Like I can't, like I do have to get that done. But like I can put headphones in. I can put on background noise. And where I should be distracted with my like ADHD brain, like people are moving, people are going, there's sounds, there's coffee, there's smells, there's whatever. I center in and focus. And I think what you're saying though is like I'm just like there's other people there
mhm.
without them knowing, without me realizing. I'm like tapping into pulling in their energy and I'm supplementing. And so I'm able to like da 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 get stuff done,
You
which is really cool.
can draw on that. Isn't that beautiful? You could maybe your profile says that, but I could almost bet that you have the kitchen environment. You know, there's different environments. It could be like, you know, it could be mountains, kitchens, caves, whatever. If you have the kitchen, then it will be the perfect description because that's exactly what they're about. They like to go where things get messy, and that's the area where they're like, you know,
I
blossoming.
think I did this before, but I think I did it with the wrong birth time and I had to go back and ask my mom. And originally when I did it, I got valleys, or
Oh,
I think it was valleys. But
yeah,
it was like, but I could be, but I have to go back and check. But like it said valleys, like you also like concerts, which I love. Like I love concerts. I
yeah.
don't know what it is. I don't um there's something about being surrounded by like like it's not even the music's so loud because now I'm old and I have to wear like those things that like make the ears not hurt like the little the little things in your ears that like knocks it down 27 decibels so that I can tolerate it. And you know, I have my chair in the back now, but like there's something about like being surrounded by
Hmm.
just so many people and just the energy and like as the music comes on and the song builds and it crescendos and like the people like just that just like rise and that build and then the release and then like this mob of people just like this release and then the come down and then the build again and it's just so fun and it's so I don't know so
Beautiful.
ethereal. It's like I've always been like the person who's like my husband's like okay I'm just gonna let you do you, I'm gonna stand back here and I just like push to the front, I'm like throw me in the front, where's the people, where are the people dancing, where's the mosh pit, let's go, like wherever that is that's where I am, like I need to be. But I think it's just because I don't know. There's something there must be something. I'm gonna have to do some work here. I'm gonna have to do some reading. There's something where I just like to be where I can like pull in. But at the same time, I notice that I do have times where I need to retreat and be away from everybody. And I'm like, oh, it's too much. I need to go sit in my chair and read for a minute.
That
So
that's the rest cycle that you have, and it's
okay.
like yeah, that's necessary to like most manifestors I know have a hard time like when they go into the rest cycle because I don't know, I don't want to be alone, but at the same time you need to be alone. So if
Yeah.
there's the retreat, then your body wants you to do that.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's because it's I think what's beautiful about that is that it's especially if you do it in a small scale, like it's intentional, like it's 10 to 12 people, whatever. Like it's hand chosen people, or however you do that, universe chosen people, then um it's you go in with this thought of what I want to do. Like I want to go talk to Christy about getting her bio done.
Mhm.
And then the universe comes in and it says, what we're gonna do. We're gonna go sit in the sweat lodge for 20 minutes, and then we're gonna go whatever, drink this plant medicine, and then we're gonna go swim in this pool. Like it doesn't, and then you just do it. But it's nice because you've got those people there, and you've got all the energies, and you just like you just sit in it, and you just hold that space. And I think that's really special. Totally down. I bet there's some really pretty hot springs. I don't know. I need to do some research now. Now I know what I'm going to be doing on the plane. I have 3 books, but now my brain is off and like,
So for your next flight, let me know. Then I'm sending you a human design book, so you can
there
get.
you go.
Oh,
There you go.
cool. I,
We'll be done.
I'm letting you pack now because you need to get on a plane quite soon. So
I need to do so much. I've so much enjoyed our time together. Thank you so much, Anna, for having me on, and it's been so fun chatting with you. And I'll look through this human design stuff a little bit more because I'm very curious now.
yes, we will connect on that. And I thank you so much for being here, for sharing your wisdom, and I had the most enjoyable time. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a beautiful travel, beautiful stay in Greece, and yeah, enjoy your time there.
I will indeed. I will indeed. You enjoy your week too.
Goodbye, my dear. Speak soon.
Bye.
Bye.